Hello and welcome to Sandwich Review. We're talking about evidence sandwiches, the things that are the guts of any good literary analysis. A close analysis is usually what your teachers are going to ask you to write for your English class. This one has to do with Catcher in the Rye, and we're going to find out what makes a highly proficient evidence sandwich. Let's review first what an evidence sandwich is. It has three parts, just like any sandwich. The first top part of the sandwich, the top piece of bread, you might say, is the intro slice of bread. This is where you have to give a point. Why analyze unless you have a reason or a point to make? In this intro slice, you're also going to have a context and a speaker. Where are these words being said, and who is saying them? Of course, we need to have something said. That's the quotation or the meat of the sandwich. You want to make sure it's MLA cited. And then the outro slice, the bottom piece of bread, is where you explain the quotation. How does it support your point? You might need to interpret this, and you really should get into the habit of doing so with re-quotation. This will make it highly proficient and clear for your reader what you're thinking when you get the conclusion you do from the quotation. So we've got an example here from Chapter 2 of Catcher in the Rye, and I'm going to go through and show you how these are highly proficient sandwiches, and then you'll have a chance to do your own. So here's the point that's going to be made in this little sandwich. Holden's cynicism about society comes through. So we're going to see cynicism. That's doubting the good intentions of other people. In his conversation with old Spencer, but only to the reader, not to old Spencer. Holden relates to Spencer how Pensie's headmaster, Miss Dr. Thurmer, has told that life is a game, you should play it according to the rules. But even though he tells old Spencer, I know it, to be true that life is a game, Holden tells the reader how deeply he doubts the fairness of society's game. Right after he tells old Spencer that he agrees with the game analogy, he gives the reader his actual thoughts. Game my ass. Some game. If you get on the side where all the hotshots are, then it's a game all right. Holden's cynicism, or his doubting of the honesty of the life game, is seen in his depiction of an unfair competition. Since if you get on the other side where there aren't any hotshots, then what's a game about it? Nothing. No game. You've got, in that intro slice, you've also got the context and the speaker. We've got Holden talking to Spencer. And this is, of course, early in the book. We know where this happens now. We've got not one piece of meat or quotation, but actually three here. But they're all closely linked because they all happen in the same little passage in the first couple chapters, or I think it's maybe in the first chapter of Catcher in the Rye. They're all correctly cited MLA style. And then the bottom piece of bread, the explanation or interpretation, check this out. Holden's cynicism is seen in his depiction of an unfair competition since, and then here's the quotation that shows it, if you get on the other side where there aren't any hot shots, what's a game about it? Nothing. No game. So we're making the point clear through re-quoting from the book there. Here's another passage that was turned into, or a passage that was through analysis turned into a good or highly proficient evidence sandwich. And I think you'll be able to start noticing the point at the beginning. Holden is an extremely emotional person. When he's walking in the city, he sees a boy walking on a curb near dangerous cars and singing. His parents are not paying attention to him. And notice here is a colon to introduce the quotation. That's perfectly a good way to do that. Don't confuse it with a semicolon. The cars zoomed by, brakes screeched all over the place. His parents paid no attention to him, and he kept on walking next to the curb. In the way that the boy's parents neglect him, Holden recognizes the way he feels his own parents pay no attention to what he's feeling. The way Holden feels sorry for the boy shows his emotional side. So to go through the sandwich parts, here is the top piece of bread with my context and my speaker. Also my point. What's the point? It's going to be something about Holden's character. He's extremely emotional. Then I've got the actual quotation, nicely MLA cited over here. And then at the bottom, I've got the re-quotation in my explanation. Check out this re-quotation, which has an interpolation. I've changed the wordage just slightly, or the author of this has, And so we put it into brackets to indicate that to the reader. This is my change of it. But notice how this is highly proficient because it has all three parts. The introduction slice with the speaker, the point, the context, the actual quotation, and then the bottom piece of bread with that good interpretation that's clear and explaining to the reader how you're getting the point that you are. Use a requote. And if you missed it, there is the requote. So here's one more, and then you'll be on your own to do your own. Because he regrets losing his innocence, Holden notices innocence around him. Walking the streets of NYC, he observes two parents walking on the sidewalk where their small son is walking on the edge of the street singing. And there's that colon again to introduce the quotation. He was just singing for the hell of it. You could tell. The cars zoomed by, brakes screeched all over the place. His parents paid no attention to him, and he kept on walking next to the curb and singing, "If a body catch a body coming through the rye." This scene is important to Holden because it displays innocence that he's missing. The small child is, quote, just singing for the hell of it. He isn't worrying about his parents or cars, he's just enjoying himself singing. Holden sees this innocence and wishes he could, and then it goes on talking about how he could have it back himself. Well, in case you missed it, here's the intro piece with the context and the point and the speaker. Then we've got the quotation itself, and then we've got, with the requotation, the bottom piece of bread explaining how we got the inference we did. All right, so now you know what a sandwich looks like. You know how they can be made into highly proficient explanations of your interpretations. It's time to do your own. Yeah, by the way, there was the requotation and the last one. Here is a new passage from which you are challenged to make a sandwich. All right, we'll see what you do back in class.